everybody. Welcome back to the Matt Report podcast. You don't want to miss today's episode. It's with Lesley Sim. She is co-founder of a new plugin called Newsletter Glue, and she's building, her and her co-founder, building a competitor to Substack. And, Substack hasn't been on my radar too often. And coincidentally, at the time that I recorded this, and I was chatting with somebody else who was actually getting rid of like a big, confusing membership website just to send emails, they switched to Substack. And had I talked to them first, I would have immediately recommended Newsletter Glue. Why I love this story is because it's like the rest of us. We're trying to build something. We're working damn near night and day trying to make this thing work. We're building it, we're marketing it, we're supporting it, we're trying to get new messaging out there and also do customer research in the face of giants. And Lesley shares a lot of amazing stories about that today. She's still in the middle of it. She hasn't bought her yacht yet. She will. Maybe you will too when you launch your product. MattReport.com, MattReport.com/subscribe to join the newsletter. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Really helps. Really helps. 130-ish 5-star reviews so far. Or reviews. I think 129 of them are 5 stars. There's a few of you that go ahead and drop the 1 star. I see you. All right, let's get a word from our sponsors. Hey, speaking of email, do you ever want to run your own newsletter service? Right? But you want to send to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of email subscribers? Maybe you want to replace MailChimp. Check out today's first sponsor, Mailster.co. Mailster.co. This is going to be a replacement for these big newsletter type services that you might use. You can get it at a fraction of a cost because Mailster only costs $59 for your WordPress site. Mailster.co, you grab it there, you download it, you buy it, $59. You've got yourself a MailChimp replacement. What about sending emails through WordPress, Matt? I didn't think that was a very good thing to do. Oh, fret not. It connects up to 4 major email sending services, and probably more by the time this episode goes out. They connect to SendGrid, MailChimp, SparkPost, Amazon SES, and that's going to allow your WordPress website to send mass amounts of email newsletter campaigns without affecting, that $5 a month web hosting account that you have, or maybe that your customer has. Right? It's not going to send it through your web host or your email. Mailster.co, the plugin, will connect up to those mail sending services so you can shoot out those email newsletters. Look, they got powerful automation. It's easy to engage your contacts. You get all of the stats and stuff that you're used to using at a MailChimp or another service. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, hey, it sounds great, but I really like the look and feel of my MailChimp templates. Has anyone ever said that? Really? Check out Mailster's templates. If you go to Mailster.co, click on the template section, you can see the different templates you're able to use. They have a browse all templates. Go ahead and click that, and you can see all of the templates they have. Look, for $59, it's a steal when you can compare it to maybe the high price that you're paying over at MailChimp, Infusionsoft, some other place to send out newsletters. Check it out, Mailster.co. Thanks for supporting the show. Today's next sponsor is me. It's the Easy Support Videos plugin. Look, it'll be launching a new version 2.0 very, very soon. If you search for Easy Support Videos, you'll find it on WordPress.org, and it allows you to embed educational videos, training videos, support videos right inside of the WordPress admin. So you built this custom site for a customer, and you're using Beaver Builder. You've got maybe some advanced custom fields, and they're in there, they're trying to figure this stuff out, and they're like, how do I do this again? Well, you've made a video that you've uploaded privately to, say, Vimeo or YouTube. You drop it right in their WordPress admin. You say, hey, there's a support section right in your WordPress site. You don't need to email me. No need to contact me. Click on that. The video is right there. You can watch that training video right there inside of WordPress. Or maybe you make this onboarding video, this welcome video, right, for these people who are using your WordPress sites. Easy Support Videos. Search for it on WordPress.org. I'd love to get at least your feedback. Okay, let's talk to Lesley.
And I run Newsletter Glue and Member Hero, which are WordPress plugins. Right now, Newsletter Glue is a free plugin that you can get on the WordPress directory, but we're developing a paid plugin as we speak. My co-founder, Ahmed, he started Member Hero, and back then it was called MemberChimp. And he was actually the lead developer on Ultimate Member way back when. And he built MemberChimp last year, and I think he won't mind me saying this, but he made all the typical developer founder mistakes in that he, sat in a room and just built it for months and months and months, and then launched it and realized no one knew what it was. No one knew, that he was even building this, and it was really hard to get off the ground. And so he made a post on Indie Hackers saying that he was looking for a co-founder to come in and do the business and marketing side of things. And I thought, what he was doing was cool. So I emailed him and we started working on Member Hero from there. And this was late last year. And so I came on, started working on, it was called MemberChimp, and then we changed it to Member Hero. I'm just not a huge fan of the chimp thing because everyone just immediately goes to MailChimp when they hear that name. So we changed it to Member Hero and then tried launching it. But the problem with, or at least for me, the problem that I had with launching Member Hero was that we didn't have a big audience. No one knew us, and it was not niche enough. So, it's like launching a form plugin, right? If you're not super specific about what kind of need your form plugin is launching or fulfilling, then nobody knows why they should use you and not the 100 other plugins that exist. And so we found that to be the case with our membership plugin. And
I've heard other notable startup podcasts and other creators say that, hey, you should go after the form market. If you want to find customers immediately, and if you want to find traction immediately and not have to convince people to buy a unique product, you go after forms, you go after page builders, you do something where the market is already mature enough. But it's a challenge, right? Because everyone goes after that market. And like you said, you have to stand out.
I think that works if you have, 5,000 Twitter followers and you're like, hey guys, I've been working at, big name company for a while, and now I've decided to launch this form plugin, and then immediately you get 1,000 people interested, right? But for us, it was nobody knew us. Nobody, I was not, I created a Twitter account, 2016 or something, but never used it. So, given that we were starting from there, it was really hard to launch our membership plugin. We were really close to closing and giving up on Member Hero. But the part that made me sad about that, in thinking that we would be closing it, was this small thing that we had built. It was an add-on to Member Hero, which was this MailChimp integration, and that let me send posts as newsletters to my subscribers. And I had been using that for my own newsletter, and I really liked doing it. It was super simple. And I was like, damn, if we closed Member Hero, then I can't use this thing anymore. And
I want this feature.
Yeah, for myself. And then it made me think oh wait, if I like this so much, maybe we could just spin that little bit off and turn that into a plugin, and from there try to gain some traction and get some awareness for what we're doing, and maybe from there we can circle back round to Member Hero, and by then we have a big audience and it will make more sense. So that's what we ended up doing.
If you're comfortable talking about it, can you bring us into that thought process, or what was going on in both of your minds when you were sort of at the edge with Member Hero saying, you know what, we might just shut this down. This isn't working. What was it that wasn't working? How were you? I'm interested because I know it goes through a lot of people's minds. It goes through my mind with this podcast. It goes through my mind with products that I sell and create. What was it for you that you were like, I'm looking at this metric, it's not working, I think we should shut it down? What was that for you?
I mean, it wasn't difficult for me because, WordPress gives you the analytics, and we had after I think 3 or 4 months, we had less than 10 active downloads. So I was like, okay, literally nobody's using this. And I like try to reach out in Facebook groups and stuff like that and talk to people, and like nobody would even want to try it. Like, I mean, this is a free plugin, right? Like, surely
Right.
people would be willing to try a free plugin. And maybe I was, talking to the wrong people. Someone straight up told me you can't just build a plugin, put up a landing page, and expect people to come. Like, someone actually said that to me in a Facebook message that when I like cold messaged her. And I was like, yeah, it was hard to hear that, but I was like, yeah, that's true. And so kind of building from that, I was like, okay, maybe I need to start smaller. Maybe I need to, reach out to people a bit more, do a bit more awareness type stuff. And so, yeah, like I super learned my lesson from that experience. And so that's why with Newsletter Glue, I put in a lot of effort into talking to a lot more people.
Yeah. And I think that's super smart. Just even looking at the Newsletter Glue landing page on WordPress.org /plugin/newsletter-glue, or just search for Newsletter Glue on WordPress.org/plugins. The copy is great. Like it's marketing focus. And this is something that, you alluded to before. Hey, my co-founder made the mistake that a lot of developers do. They built a product in the closet. They didn't talk to anybody about it. They didn't know how to market it. This is things that I've heard countless times, but just looking at your landing page for Newsletter Glue, I love the copy, right? Like when it's time to share your latest post, do you look longingly at Substack, head grudgingly to MailChimp, hope to set up an RSS campaign? How did you get to that? Is that something that marketing and copywriting and selling has always been sort of ingrained in you, or did you take lessons on it? How did it all come about?
I think, so my background is in advertising. I've been, doing kind of advertising marketing in some form for the past 10 years. And so WordPress plugins is relatively new for me. This is something that I started end of last year when I got in touch with Ahmed. But so I had that background to begin with. But I think the reason why the copy is, in your words, good. I'm good, So the reason why I think it, multiple people have mentioned that it sounds as though I really know my users is because I put in a lot of effort to know my users. So I guess like newsletter people are my people. I have a newsletter myself. I love writing it. And you can tell that I love writing it because I don't really care that much about the number of subscribers I have. I think I have like 73 or something super small. And like some of the people that know me are constantly surprised that I have so few subscribers. But I write it every week, or sometimes I miss a couple of weeks. But I keep doing it. I've done it for a year and a half, and I've pretty much blogged since I was, 16 or something. So I've always liked kind of publishing on the internet. And so when it came down to creating a plugin for people who like publishing on the internet, it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I know these people. These are my people. And I can make something that I think these people will like.
And let's just talk through I'm trying to find it live while we're recording, but I know you had a landing page, and the landing page said something to the sort of, hey, this is still in beta, and before you download it, try it, or even I talk about price, let's book a time to talk about, why you want to use this, what you're trying to solve with it. How has that all been going? How many calls have you taken? What has been the reaction to that? I think it's different because while I think it's the best idea ever, and I think everyone should do it, I think everyone should do it if they've had a product for 10 years. Like get on the phone and talk to your customer.
So to be brutally honest, I think I only managed to talk. I only got like less than 5 people who actually booked a call from that specific landing page. What got me a huge amount of calls and interest was a post that I did on indie hackers, and I kind of repurposed that post across multiple Facebook groups as well. But it was like a Substack for WordPress post. So, like Substack has been getting a lot of publicity lately, and a lot of people are creating newsletters simply because they are interested in jumping on the Substack bandwagon. The wall that people quickly run up against is, oh, I can't own my domain. I can't, do a lot of stuff because Substack is quite limited, which is definitely its key selling point. But it also, there are a bunch of people who prefer to have some customization. And, since the dawn of time, that's been WordPress's key selling point. And so by posting, Substack for WordPress, I got a bunch of people who were interested and signed up. And to this day, I still get people who email me randomly because of that post. So that's actually how I got a whole bunch of calls, and not the actual landing page, which I'm glad you like, by the way.
So now you're in this mode. You're still in this mode of user research. If you can, paint us a picture, broad brushstrokes of what this rollout might be. Like, how much longer are you going to do? I mean, you have the plugin in the WordPress repo. Presumably, you're getting this information from customers because you're going to roll out the premium version of it, or you want to just simply add new features right now. Like, where's the goal markers for you? 10 more phone calls, and then you'll move to the next phase of your product development. Give us that sense of that.
I think the phone calls are ongoing. I don't really have a goal for that. I'm pretty much happy to jump on phone calls whenever, as long as people keep going to my Calendly and scheduling them, I'm happy to do them.
Yeah.
And in terms of building and roadmap, I don't know. I mean, we're building the paid plugin, and it's been tricky kind of figuring out what to prioritize. I have a good idea of what people want right now, but I wish I could snap my fingers and then come up with the 20 different things and charge people,
sure,
$300 out the gate. But it doesn't work that way, right? And so I think right now we're just focusing on templates. Something interesting to me that I didn't I wasn't expecting at all was just how I don't want to say lazy, but so I'd been using the plugin myself for I think 3 months before we even launched, and I really enjoy using it. I just write out my newsletter. I have a bunch of reusable blocks that I use to create my templates for my newsletter and all of that stuff. And I guess having done it for 3 months, and since it is the plugin that I built, all of that was pretty easy for me. But it's been difficult to explain to people how to use reusable blocks. And so I'm like, oh, people just need templates. People just want, this is the Harry Dry's marketing examples newsletter template, and here, take it, here you go. Or the Hustle, here, take it, recreate the Hustle's newsletter, there you go. So it seems like that's what people want, and it's super cool because hey, we can actually make this stuff on WordPress now, which not that long ago we couldn't. So it's cool that we can, and it's cool that we can easily make templates for that. And I guess that's what we're doing with the paid plugin.
On the roadmap to a commercial product or a premium product, during these phone calls that you're having with customers, or potential customers, are you asking them, what they pay? Are you looking at alternative services to see what, the value is for somebody to be on, I don't know, Substack or something like that, and trying to draw out your pricing strategy, or is that too soon?
I think pricing, a proper data-backed pricing strategy, is way too soon. I think I'm probably at the pull a number out my ass and see if anyone will pay for it. That's my pricing strategy. And it's probably going to be that for the next couple of months, realistically. Anyone who says they've got their pricing strategy locked down, 3 to 6 months in is it's going to change, right? It's going to change
right.
Multiple times. So I feel like, it's not, I mean, my pricing strategy is like, okay, I'm going to be realistic and I'm probably going to underprice myself, and people are going to, say, why are you underpricing myself? And why are you underpricing yourself? And, I'm fine with that. And when I build up the confidence to price more, then I'll price more. And yeah.
Yeah. And you're also, it's also an attempt to, I mean, you have to grow the audience, right? You have to grow awareness. Like if you just all of a sudden walk on the scene and say, well, it's $600 a year, it's like this huge bundle you're going to get. Yeah. And people are going to say, okay, great. But there's a lot to be said about, social proof, testimonials, case studies, brand awareness. They're not just because that your product is valued to yourself at $600 a year, or probably even more, doesn't mean that people are going to pay it. And in the beginning, you need to learn. Like so many times you hear the advice of just charge what you're worth, charge value, all this stuff. But sometimes it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work.
I think so something that I've kind of been following is, like I mentioned earlier, my confidence levels. And I just wanted to mention that because that's also why we took a step back with Member Hero. So, I mean, we could have kind of continued and launched the version 2 of Member Hero and charged for that and all of that stuff after the first version failed. But what I decided to do was, carve out this tiny piece of what we built and launch it separately as a free plugin. And the reason why I did that was to build my own confidence levels. Because as I mentioned, I've been doing advertising and marketing for the past 10 years. In the past 2 years, I've been running my own kind of digital agency thingy and building WordPress sites for clients and all of that stuff. But I didn't actually have any confidence when it came to building and selling and convincing people that my plugin is worth, anything. So that was something that I wanted to learn and figure out before tackling the larger Member Hero plugin. And so things like, things like user discovery, customer discovery, product design, all of that stuff. I didn't know that stuff 4 months ago or 5 months ago. But Newsletter Glue was completely designed by me using Adobe XD, which I learned through YouTube. So
yeah.
And I mean, it sounds dumb or ridiculous, but I'm actually kind of proud that I got this chunk of time to build this tiny plugin and learn all of these skills, in a relatively low stress kind of way, because I know it's going to be a free plugin. I already know that I like using it, so I can imagine, at least 10 other people are going to like using it, and kind of put in the reps to learn those skills along the way.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm so glad you brought up the confidence factor, because that is. I do a lot of mentorship at a local accelerator, and of course through this podcast and talking to other people who are starting businesses. Confidence is huge, especially obviously when it's going to come to that pricing part of your product. But I'm curious, even with a background in advertising, I think I know the answer, but even with a background in advertising, which I feel like, look, if you come up in sales or advertising, you get confidence taught real quick, because people are going to be like, this ad is terrible, this copy is terrible, and no, I don't want your product. But you're
so sheltered, right? You're
right,
doing it for a client, you're not doing it for yourself. And it's if it fails, there's a million other things that you can blame before you blame yourself.
Well, these phone calls that you're taking, right? Talking to customers, that in itself is going to put build the foundation of confidence as you go over time, because you start to repeat that sales pitch, if you will. You start to repeat your value add and what you're worth and stuff like that. And then over time, you just you got it. It's just natural to you. And when people say, no, it's not worth it, that's fine. I'm confident enough to say, you don't see value in this, but there is a massive amount of market that does. And we serve those people. And it's a great way to say, sorry, this other product's for you. Well, maybe you should just go back to Substack. Maybe you shouldn't be looking at my product. And you're confident enough to, like, it doesn't hurt you in that way. It doesn't say, boy, does my product suck, or should I be building this feature? No, you're confident in the lane that you're in. And I think that's massive. So, that's awesome. I'm just so happy you brought up the confidence factor. Are you getting confident through these phone calls so far?
Yes and no. So like, I'm a huge fan of the mom test. I'm not sure if you've heard of the book. Or are you a huge fan of the mom test?
I have only heard 2 podcasts of people talking about it. I have not yet explored the book myself.
Right. So, I mean, firstly, I highly recommend that you do. But yeah, so I'd heard about it and never I was like in the same boat as you, like heard about it from different podcasts and just kind of never got around to reading it. But then I heard Rob Fitzpatrick talk on the Indie Hackers podcast, and that was such a great podcast, and it made me go out immediately and get the book. And I don't know, it changed how I looked at customer discovery completely. And so in the calls that I do, he talks about it way more articulately than I'm about to, but in the calls that I do, I try to just ask them about stuff that they've already done before. And not be like, hey, what do you think of this feature that I'm building? Or, hey, what do you think about, this thing in the future, or this like fantasy thing that hasn't been built yet? Rather, I just kind of try to figure out, what their workflow is like, what they've looked at before. If they said like, yeah, I'm trying to move off of Substack, then I'll ask them why they're trying to move off of Substack. And if they are, like, what have they looked at beyond Substack? And then they would typically say WordPress. And then the next thing out their mouths would be like, yeah, but WordPress is really complicated and blah, 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 blah. And so like just kind of learning more about them is what I try to do. And I don't focus so much on the product itself. And I think like, so that's why I said like, it doesn't really give me confidence because I don't focus on my product. So I generally don't really know what people think about my product until they email me or message me on Twitter or something like that. But yeah, so the calls are more to learn about what people want, not what they think. I think is the succinct way of putting it.
Right. And if you started showing people features and like functions, I think a lot of them tend to just agree with you, right? And just be like, yeah, that's awesome. Like that looks cool to me, but then they would never use it, right? And it's just, which is a trap I fell into really early in my career, doing the same exact thing. Like I remember starting Conductor and showing people, look how awesome this is. And people are like, yeah, it's amazing. It's like, okay, now do you want to buy it? No. Okay. Maybe we should have a different conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Has anyone from the Substack sort of customer persona, or I guess any of your customer personas or avatars, however you refer to them as, has anyone ever expressed that they like the product or like the idea, but not of WordPress? And do you spend time convincing that, hey, it's okay that it's on WordPress? Or are you just saying, look, I only want to go for people who want WordPress?
I don't get people asking me that on calls just because, to get on a call in the first place is quite a big commitment. So by the time someone gets there, they've self-qualified to the nth degree. So they tend to be pretty like excited and understand what the thing I'm building is and like have watched a bunch of my videos and all of that stuff. So I don't get that on calls, but I do get that sometimes on Twitter and on Facebook groups where I'm pretty active. And like in 100% of those cases, I always say, yeah, then, I say it nicely, of course, but the message is essentially that you should stick with Substack. Because like WordPress honestly isn't you can install Substack in 10 minutes, even if you're super not tech savvy. If you're tech savvy, you can install it in 1 minute. And you can't do that with WordPress. And so if you're someone that, has no idea what a domain is versus hosting, then there's no there's no chance. And if you're, and in addition, you're not interested in finding out, then, there's no chance that you're going to spend a weekend tinkering around with WordPress.
From the business point of view, did you ever look at it? I mean, I know it was this is a unique scenario. Well, not super unique, but I mean, a lot of people go this route. They build a plugin, then they pull a feature out of that plugin and they launch another plugin. I know it started as a WordPress plugin, but had you ever sat back and said, maybe this should just be a standalone Laravel app, or name your favorite flavor of framework? Like, have you ever thought, or maybe that's like a future thing, like this is going to be a hosted services? Has that crossed your mind yet? Or you say, well, no, we're still too infinite right now. We're just focused on this.
Yeah, so it's pretty much exactly what you said. It's kind of like a nice thing to think about, like in a far away fantasy kind of way. But there's still, there's just so many steps that I have to go through before I can get there. That's
like the thing for people to say. If you spend any time on Twitter, you see everyone saying like, WordPress is dead, and all these other CMSs and Jamstack and like all this stuff. And I hear people say this. I see it on my Twitter feed, and yet I still see WordPress continuing to grow. And I'm just scratching my head. Are these people right? Are there still so much people in the market that need to use WordPress? And FYI, I sat down the other day to use one of said popular new CMSs that don't use a database and somehow magically create content for me. And I sat down and said, step 1, install Composer. I was like, what? What am I doing? Like, set up a local dev environment first. And I'm like, then I started doing it, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, this is ridiculous. I could have got it done in WordPress in 2 minutes. I don't, but again, I'm not the advanced user, but there's so many advanced users out there, I guess, that have the freedoms to switch. I just don't see it as efficient, I guess, as they do.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Tangential point. Like that kind of angst that you just talked about, that would be the angst that someone who's going from Substack to WordPress would be feeling, right?
Sure.
And like, that's the exact reason why I never tell people to do that. Cause like, I don't want to be responsible. I don't for a second think that my plugin is so amazing and so indispensable that I would put you through that hell that you just talked about. Unless they wanted to do it, right? Like, I remember how difficult it was for me when I first started using WordPress, like in 2015 or something. Like, I mean, it's easy for me now, and it's easy for you now, obviously, right? Like, it's 2 minutes spinning up a new WordPress site, but for someone new, it's tough. Yeah.
What about the argument for which is the same argument that I don't want to say argument, but the same, I can't think of the right word right now, but the freedom, right? The freedom of owning your content, the freedom of owning your platform. Do you find that will be a selling point to folks who use Substack or any other competing service? Like, is that a value add to these folks? I would imagine it would be, because they're content creators, and I'd imagine the content creators want to own their stuff. Do you find that that's a value add for your type of product?
It's definitely a value add. It's probably the number one reason people explore WordPress coming from Substack.
Okay.
But again, like, I want them to already be on that journey. Like, I don't want to be the person that tells them to go on that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keep waving that flag for WordPress and for open source, and sometimes we don't get paid in return. I totally understand. Awesome stuff. So, what are the?
Sorry. It's not so much that there isn't anything in it for me or anything like that. It's just like, it's a big ask. Yeah, that's it, right? Like, it's a big ask.
It's a big ask too, for like, even for like the base use case for WordPress. Again, going back to my experience as a mentor in accelerators, and this is an accelerator. It's a very small accelerator. It's generally mostly for like non-profits or very small businesses in my local area. This is not like a tech accelerator where the people are going to get millions of dollars. These people are hoping to like launch a restaurant or launch like a muffin company that's going to be sold at farmers markets. it's a big ask to get them to use WordPress, right? And when I originally started there 5 years ago, I was the one teaching like the web component of the accelerator. And it's like, well, you got to use WordPress. You have to, right? Because it's free. It's open source. This is your platform. You can do whatever you want with it. And these people are looking at me like, I just get out of a tax and legal preparation course, and now you want me to build, a WordPress website using 17 plugins? Not going to happen, right? And I've obviously adjusted my course now, but yeah, I think it's a big ask, even just from the WordPress. I don't have a really question there, but just pontificating on that stuff. Anything else you want to say or add about your product journey or experience that you think people can benefit from?
I don't know. I think just before I got on this podcast, I replied something to someone on Twitter, and I was like, when you launch, you have to feel, like the first week when I was talking about newsletter glue on Twitter and stuff like that, like I felt nauseous talking about it. It's like, man, this plugin is so small and shitty, and nobody knows me, and nobody, like it's gonna give a shit and all of that stuff. But like, I think that's kind of what you have to do, right? Like you just have to keep on talking about it in an open way and getting out there, letting, being vulnerable, and not hiding yourself from like the things that people say. Because I think like more often than not, like all the information you need is out there, and it's more whether you're willing to put yourself out there and listen to it, and be receptive to what people are saying. And yeah, I think like for anyone else who's trying to build something, that would be the number one thing that I would encourage them to do.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things I say when I help people, starting a podcast and stuff like that, and people are always saying like, nobody wants to listen to me, and that's like the concern. Like their major roadblock is nobody wants to listen to me. No, guess what? That is not the problem. The problem is, what do you do when you have that audience? Because eventually you do get that audience by getting out there, keep pushing the content out, keep have your opinions, have your confidence, keep pushing out the message, and then you will have an audience. So worry about what's going to happen then. Getting them on an email list, let's say, and making sure that you're emailing them, right? So that you're driving some kind of conversion or awareness for your product, brand, or cause. So 100%.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I hang out in all of these Facebook groups and forums and all these things where people talk about starting newsletters all the time. And everyone gets so caught up in the tech stacks, like, their setup. Should I use ConvertKit? Should I use Substack? Should I use this? Should I use that? And the thing that I always come back to is like, no, the first thing that you should do is write your newsletter and continue to write it for like 20 times. Find out if you even like writing newsletters. Like a lot of these people, hear about this whole concept of charging for subscribers and all of that kind of stuff, and they get drawn to the idea of the money behind it. And it's like, actually writing newsletters for money is really, really difficult. I don't do it, but I know a bunch of people who do, and it's not easy. And so, you're only going to do it if you like it and you find that you have a knack for it. And the only way you can do that is by writing it, writing a bunch. So yeah, that's what I always recommend people do.
All right, Lesley, this has been an amazing conversation. Where can folks go to get the plugin? Where can they go to sign up or book a call with you at 2 a.m, depending on what time they're at?
So if they want to try out the plugin, then they can just go to the WordPress plugin repo and search for Newsletter Glue, and hopefully we pop up. If not, same thing on Twitter, like Newsletter Glue. I think pretty much everywhere, if you type in Newsletter Glue, you'll find us. So that's what I suggest they do. If they want to read my own newsletter, which I publish with my own plugin, then that's Lesley.pizza, which is, I think, also my Twitter handle. So yeah, those are the two places that you can find me.
Awesome stuff. It's Newsletter Glue. Check it out on the WordPress repo. I will also have it in a link, which you can click on in your podcast player. Just visit Matt Report for this episode, and you can click on that. Check it out. Newsletter Glue. Lesley, I wish you all of the best luck in the world. Everyone else, it's mattreport.com, mattreport.com.